tardy. Almost tardy. Tardy. Oh, I didn't hit go live. Oh my god. Oh my god, that's horrible. Oh, that's horrible, horrible, horrible. I mean that song's great. Hey guys, glad to be here. But I have just realized that I didn't hit go live on Rockfin. Damn it. And I was waiting for the water to fill, and the water is so slow right now, filling, that it took the entire song to fill up a glass of water out of my filter. So I wonder if Rockfin... There's Angela. I don't know how that works, but maybe you guys missed the intro on Rockfin because of that. I'm curious, actually, if you guys could let me know. I don't know how that works. I don't know what Rockfin does, because it's the one platform that you have to come to it and say go live. And sometimes that's a little bit problematic. Oh god, I'm not muted, am I? Okay. Hello everyone. Good to see everyone. Before we forget, remember that Wandering Jew? Remember the clipping I got of the Wandering Jew? I don't think I ever showed you the clipping, but that was not long ago. That clipping was like this, so, like about this size, and about like this size, and man, I swear, look at this Jew go, look at him, Exodus. Look, he's like, the pot is the Pharaoh, and I will go out into the desert, and I will liberate myself, and there will be a lot of chafing. It'll be a very, very hot time. So, anyway, there it is. And there's even some, as we're even talking, like there's, look at this little guy. He's like, hi, I want to take this time to say hello to all the other Jews out there that are wandering. You can do it, man. You can do it. You got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in yourself, guys, and you can do it. And yeah. Anyway, I was going to say something anti-Semitic, but I don't know if people would realize that I'm allowed to do that because I'm actually a Jew plant. I don't know if that would count. We'll have to see. So yeah, I love that. I loved how that worked. I love how that worked out. If you guys don't know, the neighbor bought this house. He's tearing it all up, all construction site. I was walking by and saw the Wandering Jew, and I said, I know these Wandering Jews, and I bet you that tomorrow there might be a clipping that fell from that pot, if it's still there. And there was. Yeah, I'm a Zionist, aren't I? Does this make me a Zionist, what I just did? I just founded I founded a promised land? Oh, shit, James. James, what are you doing, dude? Come on, dude, what are you doing? And now I'm attached. Now I'm attached to these Jews. Now I'm attached to this guy. I gave him a new home. Man. I didn't actually have to liberate anyone from this plant, so, I hope someone's enjoying this little riff on the Jews there. Good to see you guys. It was a late night last night, only because the night before was late. We had a great full moon fire over on Dojo Earth Radio. I encourage you all to subscribe and join Dojo Earth Radio. It's a good time over there. And of course, the night before, I did a show with Rose 777, which is always a fun time, and Rose did not disappoint. Lady knows how to bring some dilation, just like bam, knows how to do it. And it was a trifecta of me, Rose, and this guy RV. I think it's like retro variegated or something. And anyway, that like really exploded like right away. Like as soon as we left the parking lot, it felt kind of bumpy. And before that, before it was bumpy though, there was one moment which I thought was actually good, like juicy stuff, which was a video of Pulse, and in the glasses of the lady that some people say is Waynell Sexton, you see like 8 studio lights, and that was really astute and great. It was like really great to see that. I was like really enjoying that, and I was like, man, this is gonna be a fucking great train ride. I freaking love this. It's gonna be great. And it just, oh man, it really didn't do that. It really did not do that. Yes, Russian videos, I believe, Annie D. It really did not do that. But you could see that interview, though, and judge for yourself how all that went down. The entire bar fight is on video. It's on Rockfin. This is why we have Rockfin. It's really great. And you can watch the whole thing and decide for yourself. And because we didn't actually get to RV left in the stream. Actually, RV said he was leaving, and then it's about like 30 minutes, maybe longer. I think it was 33 minutes. I think he purposely did it on 33 minutes to send a clue to everyone that he was working for them. And so for 33 minutes, he then yelled in the doorway. And I was just kind of stuck there at my friend's house, Rose. It's kind of how it felt. And it was just like, so you can't handle being here, so you're going to stand in the fucking doorway and just yell about it a while. And that was like the low point, I'd say. It was like the act 2. And then after that, I think it got kind of good. And thank you, Mared Moth. There's the link right there to that show. And I think that from Rose's perspective, I think Rose did good. Like I think that Rose, I think that was a good quality show, even though it was a Roadhouse sort of kind of theme. It really does showcase a lot of the passion that's around, and also a lot of the posture that comes with that passion. And so, yeah, I think it's telling, and I mean that about myself too. I mean that about RV. I mean that about some of the people in the chat. And I do want to make it clear though, I am not a truther. I'm not a truther. There was a time when I would have called myself that, and I don't disparage anyone for being a truther. I do not. But guys, a truther is someone who's going to lick the balls of Epstein Island. A truther is someone who's going to lick the balls of Pizzagate. You may not like that label and how I've made that division, but I'm just telling you that there, just like there are sheep that are called, these sheep call themselves woke, right? There's another subset of sheep called truthers. That's all. And I don't think that we need to look at sheep as a negative thing. I think you're seeing, we are archetypal plasmatic shapeshifters, my friends. The totem spirit of who you are transmutes into a sheep. And why are we shitting on sheep? Sheep are fucking awesome. Sheep are not bad. They're not. They are badass. They are awesome. And we transmute into that plasma and utilize that totem, right? We are these spirit walkers, like the living soil. We come up out of the land like these spores and we wander like will-o-wisps, except for we're made out of fucking meat. And we have this Mexican Aztecan instinct in us to formulate into a certain shape, into a certain animal. We magnetize our belief and we become the jaguar. We become the sheep. And the sheep has its own sort of power, doesn't it? It has its own sort of presence and magic to it. And you animize yourself as that sheep. There is nothing wrong with being a sheep. There is nothing wrong with having a white belt. These are very crucial steps. Do you really think that when you're learning karate, and you're learning in white belt how to punch and how to just hold yourself right? I'm probably not punching right. I totally get it. But I totally get that I don't get it. But it's not like when you get a yellow belt that the karate teacher comes in and goes, yeah, all that stuff we told you for the white belt, that was total bullshit. No, you'll never use that. That's not how it works. You build these skills on top of other skills. The totem of the sheep, bad, is not bad. It's badass. It's badass. It has a different kind of flavor. I'm not muted. It has a different kind of flavor. It's a different kind of magic. And that magic has been necessary for you to survive in a world where everyone around you is living in a field of dissonance and insisting that it's not happening. These totem magics, part of the shame that we feel about these, part of the labeling that we use in each other, is in fact the electrical field. It's the electrical field of that belief. The guilt that you have about not being in fashion with the times of the day is an electrical field. Oh, you feel it. No different than when you're behind your house, you walk behind your house to get something and you hear this, and you notice, oh, it's the electrical meter, it's the electric meter. And you tell yourself it's because you hear it, but that's not it. No, you perceive it, right? Your first eye receives the signals from this emanation, this living emanation of L. L is in your yard, motherfuckers. It's in there. And it's going. And that signal is wrapped around the perimeter of your house. A sacred ritual circle has been created. You associate into your house the same way you do your car. That's why you fart in your home. Because when you're in your home, it's just your body. You're simply moving methane from one room to another. When we learn to animize our reality like this, we learn to totemize from the library of archetypes. Why do you think we have all these animals? These animals are here teaching us the power of turkey. Think about the power of turkey. That bitch can't fly. And turkey hunters, they are lying to you when they say it's hard. I can't tell you how many times I've been out for a run. Came over a corner and there's just a turkey. And I have to wait patiently to not embarrass that turkey about how long it takes that turkey to get away. For it to try and fly, it hits every branch on the way up. It is a spectacle. It loses about half its feathers. And there's power in that. The power is so strong that the feathers themselves are this totem. How do you think it survives if it wasn't effective? There's a survival there. And it looks different. It looks different than what you might imagine. No, it's not jaguar. But guess what? People hunt jaguar in the daylight. So what does the jaguar archetype do? It transmutes into the sheep. It transmutes into the wolf. These are spirit animals because they are postures for you to pull from a library. And you get to watch how they work in the world and unlock the animistic magic inside you. Oh, I don't know, James. Oh, this sounds really satanic, so it's not going to work that way at all. I'm just not going to be able to handle that. It's not. I don't like this at all, so can we just stop talking about this kind of stuff? Because it's just not working. That's a field too. That's a field too that's like, well, okay. This is not fashionable, James, to be going around animizing your world. The L in the box. Man, people don't want to be hearing about no Canaanite god living inside the drywall. This is God's house. It's like, yeah, Elohim. Elohim. The plurality of El. What do you think the fuck we are in right now? All of our separate grids, everyone else has our own temple of El. What does that make us as a community? An Elohim. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Pantera's right. Damn straight. Look at that. There's Chad Clemens. I saw 5 bears yesterday. It was so beautiful. It was outside, middle of the day. And thank God my neighbor's out of town. Great guy. Not James. This is Kevin. But thank God Kevin was out of town because Kevin calls me every time the bears are out, which is, it's nice to know. But it also, he's raping the mystery. It's very important to him that he removes that mystery. And I do appreciate what I do. I think he means it well. But Kevin was out of town, and I saw the glistening of that black fur. The rolling ripples of how the skin does, the size of those paws. And she had four cubs with her. Oh, so cute. So beautiful. And they were glistening. All of them were glistening. There wasn't one part about them that was like, you don't see me. It was purely the part about it of, we are fucking glistening. We are like that Twilight bitch, man. Except for real. These archetypal libraries are talking to you every day. Every day. All right, so I never do AMAs right, and always feels weird anyway. But yeah, I want to do AMA respect, and sometimes I don't always do an AMA. I do not have an episode prepared for you today. I have just not been on a I've been on a late shift lately, so that's what's going on. But these are things that I've been tripping out on. Yeah, and my little wandering Jew over here. Feels like we're always all belts all the times in different topics. I think we find ourselves in a posture, and if we can be honest with ourselves, we'll look at that posture and we'll say, I'm in anger right now. I'm using my anger right now. And I think that that's a very healthy, productive thing to do, by the way. If you're a good captain of your ship, if you know how to pilot your ship, you know how to use these forces. Fear. I like fear. I like anger. I like compassion. I like these things. They're all different forces, and they're all different amalgamations. You could picture yourself as an airbender, right? The first thing you would do is ignorance, right? Right? This would be the airbending of ignorance, is to not see, right? I do not see. So, right? So you're airbending that way. And then the next would be the raccoon, the fear. You would airbend into that fear. Then you would airbend into that anger. And then you would airbend into that compassion. And these are the poses. These are the yoga of ether, right? People like RV made me think that this is why there's a need for violence in the world. Some people need to get punched in the face. The fashion is very... this hat, he thought it was an orange hat. I don't mind people calling it orange, by the way. But the fact that it was an orange hat for RV apparently meant I'm working for someone bad. And I think that it's important that people see that this is what we call truthers. Truthers will call this research. They will. And I'm not trying to disparage the word truther. I'm trying to tell you that truther is an archetypal shapeshift. You shapeshift into the truther. It becomes necessary. If you want to burn a witch, if you want to push a goat off the cliff that you have pressed your sins into it, you're going to have to manifest as a truther. Does anyone disagree with that? I'm literally looking at the chats. I'm not, I'm not like I think that this is something that's a little bit hard to swallow. And the reason why it's hard to swallow is because we tend to think it's them that are evil. But we are the inquisitors. We are the witch burners. We are the crusaders. We are the Zionists. And unless you're living on sovereign waters, it's really kind of hard to really argue against that. It just is. You can certainly try and claim that you have degrees of lessness. I know that I do that all the time with myself. But the truth of the matter is they is really our compliance with the ignorance. We've airbended the ignorance in order to get where we are, because the archetype of the sheep allows us to survive in the daylight because no one is hunting the sheep, they're hunting wolves, right? The Roman word for wolf, that he is a wolf head, right? We talked about that. It's the same kind of thing. We cannot manifest as the wolf even though we feel like the wolf in our heart. We can manifest, but it's very calorically expensive. It's very difficult to do that in the light of day. That's why only the elite predator shows itself like that. That's why a bear is allowed to glisten. It's why a lion can just lay around with its nuts in the sun, right? It becomes necessary for you to become a truther, the very same way it becomes necessary for you to feel fear, to where it becomes necessary for you to feel anger. And you will enter into the state of the righteous, and you will don your codpiece of righteousness. It's a very important idea that we have to own. And even when you make a judgment about someone else's field, you really will have to implement this codpiece of righteousness, because you're dealing with energy that's so subtle. You're not going to have an objective board that's telling you what's right or what's wrong. No one's there to tell you the truth of what it really is. And so you end up parading as a truther under the codpiece of righteousness. It's part of the decision-making process. You might find, sort of similar to me, that, hey, I don't like feeling this codpiece of righteousness. I understand it's a part of my makeup, but I never want to rely on this as my sole purpose for donning it, for having it on. I want to purposely inject that I'm not comfortable in this thing chemically, because I want to keep my rendering compassion, my sonar, to discern what's happening as clear and clean as possible. It's because I don't think that I'm right, that I want the process, my zetetic instincts, to be as clear as possible. And I know that I'm on the right track only a few small times. And I believe that I know that I'm on the right track when I looked at Epstein Island and I looked at just what was happening around that whole thing. And that's just one. The reason why I'm saying I know on that one is because I felt myself going against the very grain and the very instinct of the truther in me. God, I hope that makes sense. I hope I've put that into words. Because it's not a bashing of truther. You need that truther instinct, that passionate righteousness at the tip of your nose. The wolf's nose is long. The very first thing it does is access the smell, the taste. The eyes are very much behind, as are the ears. It's a completely different sonar at work. Truther is that smell, is that taste, reasoning, logic maybe. It's not even about that. It's more about evidentiary comfort, things that you can accept in the world. This is the magma layers of belief. Can I accept that people lie to me? Can I accept that authority lies to me? Can I accept that I've been lied to so much that there's lies that I do not understand yet today? Do I understand I could be such a fool that I could be lied to about the very shape of this earth, of this world? All of those require a lot of fucking calories. This archetype of sheep is very important to this entire process. And you could assign different levels, different archetypes that fit. What do you think fits fear? What animal fits fear in your eyes? And what would that look like if you were to be animizing yourself under that totem, right? Big chief and all the feathers. I say this about the orange hat because you get the same thing with one eye. If you have a picture of you and there's one eye, and it doesn't have to be holding or closing your one eye. If there's a picture that's cropped where one eye is just easier to see than the other, that's all it takes for a truther to smell, I'm onto you. I'm onto you. Don't you flash 33 at me. I'm onto you. Right? It's not double quotes. It's 33 quotes, may I say. 33 quotes. It doesn't take much to elicit that truther instinct. The truther sees the 4chan post where Q says, these people are stupid. And the truther thinks, oh, Q's talking about all the rich elite people. Yeah, those people are stupid. The ones with all the power that are in control. The ones that are like enacting their rituals all around the world in like major cities. Yeah, they're stupid. They're the stupid ones. The smell of that embarrassment, that truther embarrassment, is the same smell of, hey, there's not an elevator. That's a utility building. That's not a temple. That's a utility building. Someone has a contract. They probably get paid $85 a month to have a lease in there. Yeah, it's a utility building. It's not a satanic temple. The smell now is gone. Where does the wolf go? Does he continue to chase? What if he's enjoying the chase? What if he's utilizing the power of that run, the power of that chase, to completely avoid real dangers that were actually in his life, that were back at his den? The truther is a state. It's a state of agitation. And a lot of people will try and live that way. They try and make that their full life. And you end up having to constantly be looking for a smell, don't you? That now the dog is trying to analyze the wax coating of pledge that's been sprayed on the furniture 12 years ago. And it's decided, oh, it's orange scented pledge. Therefore, they're working for them. This whole house is bugged, man. And you have no choice but to look for those things because your nose will die if it doesn't keep working. If it doesn't keep running. Why will your nose die? Because the archetype of the wolf will disappear. It will grow tame. It will change into possibly a sheep. The color is pretty obvious. Like when you see someone arguing that because you're wearing a colored hat, it's pretty obvious. But there's a lot of other things that aren't nearly as obvious. And it runs a whole spectrum. And there's an entertainment industry built on it. And sometimes I feel like I'm directly competing with it. And sometimes I feel like I'm riding on its wins, and I'm tacking with it too. It's a little bit frustrating sometimes because I'm constantly remembering that the flavor and the salaciousness are what's going to appeal to the nose, and me telling people that this is not what you smell is debilitating to the ones that are so hungry. They're the ones that are the most hungry. And I think that's part of why it becomes so much of a competition. I think for RV this is a competition. It was a debate. And I think for a lot of truthers it is that way. I feel I'm in competition in a lot of ways too. Access, exposure, witness, holy fuck, man. I love witness. There's definitely I can't really say I'm competing with other people. I purposely picked a spot that I thought no one does a show now. This would be a good time to build something that wasn't there. But I'm not really interested in debating. If you remember that Skeptico guy that cut that interview about white slavery that I did into pieces, he wanted to debate, but I don't want to debate. I don't want to win truthers. I just want people to have zetetic information, or at least information that I consider zetetic. That's why I say I am a zetetic. And that zetetic requires a lot of nosing. The zetetic has a truther inside him. That's instinct. You get an instinct for something, right? Like when you see everyone with a gray mask that came out of that U-Haul, that's an instinct. I saw the 33, and I mentioned that, but that was not really built into my zetetic proof mechanism. I just thought that was just interesting, and there it is. I don't really know if that's related or not. I tend to think no because of how sloppy the photos look from that op. Sorry, I should add a photo before I'm talking about this. Some of you guys don't know what I'm talking about. But this game isn't a game. This game is work. When I told RV that I'm not up on the hooks of Sandy, what I literally mean by that is things like I have not found the police dispatch audio. I have not looked at the court records. All I've done is seen memes. And in my mind, that makes me not really qualified to talk about something. In the fashion truther's mind, that's turned into, well, then you don't know anything. What RV was saying was, you do not believe. You do not believe, you do not belong in this pack with us, because you would not follow us, even if all we have to run on is that dude's wearing an orange hat. Sometimes that will be it, says the Truther Pack. Sometimes this will be the only thing that we have, right? And you're not going to follow us because you're a zetetic. And that's a problem. That's a problem. And that's the living energy of the crowd. Let's see. Hey James, Dennis Strings tripping on the actual cryptid Bigfoots. Is he Sasquatch pilled? Tyler, I have a screenplay about Bigfoot. And that screenplay is a theory. And that theory basically goes, just like people become anti-feral, just like people become tame, people become feral too. There is a wilding process, a feraling process that happens, the same as there is a taming process. As civilization becomes disgusting, some people, the medicine they apply to that is to become feral. The giants of Amuraka were civilized, and when I say civilized, I mean culturalized into their time. I'm not talking about what we would call civilized now. But the giants of Amuraka were civilized into the Mississippians, the Mountain Peoples, the whatever, depending on where you are in the region. And that, look at all the crashing of the Mayan culture, Mexican cultures, the just all these massive sites that were just suddenly just gone. And then like 400 years later, this one's gone. And then like 500 years later, this one's just gone. And you're looking at the feraling, the returning to the wild of man. But when I say man, I'm talking about giants. And the screenplay just kind of, all it does is just help explain it more, because it showcases the journey. And that this Indian has been in the wild so much that his hair has become so long, it's starting to grow all over his body. And as his clothing is slowly wearing out, the clothing from his civilization, I should say, there becomes a point as he's walking through the forest when he passes a thicket and it pulls off the last loincloth that was covering his genitals, and he reaches a threshold where he just doesn't care. It just doesn't faze him anymore. His life as an Indian, as a giant, as this civilized thing is an illusion. It's been a fantasy the whole time. And so he returns to the skin. He returns to the nakedness of it, which is interesting because he doesn't actually become naked. He associates with the world around him. That's what wild really means. Wild says, I've not developed a relationship with El and formed a ritual circle around my home and associated inside it. No, I fart everywhere. I own everything because everything is my body and I associate with it all. And if you own everything, there's not really property. It's not really looked at that way. This is who you are. You're an endoskeleton inside of this larger thing. That's really what wild means, isn't it? That's why when you're wild, you don't have quote, quote, shame about your nudity. Why? Because you're not naked. Naked would mean that you are exposed. Naked would mean that your world, yourself, is inside of this other self that are outside now and exposed to this other self. And that's a compartmentalization and association with civilization. There's a good rap song there, right? Your association with civilization is your fashion, your clothing, your beliefs, your dogmas, your superstitions about orange hats, your superstitions about 33s, your insistence that everyone is following a script around you. When you become wild, you own it all. You slip into the liquid of the atmosphere, right? You accept that you're swimming in it. It's a totally different psychology to have. And it's decentralized, isn't it? And because it's decentralized, it's easier to take down in the beginning by a centralized force. Hare Krishna's wore orange. Well, they're in on it, Debbie. They're in on it. In fact, you've got some orange in your icon there, Debbie. Look, flat accord music, he's in on it. Marid Moth, oh my gosh, Marid Moth's been in on it the whole time. Look at all this orange. Do you see how that satisfies a certain comfort when it's so easy that you can simply just see, oh, there's a bad guy. How do you know? He said Pizzagate wasn't real. Totally fucking shill. Totally shill. And when I say that about Pizzagate, when I'm a shade of brown, actually, that's beautiful. When I say that about Pizzagate, what I'm really saying is that human trafficking, child trafficking, happens every day at 7:15. All these children are placed in this yellow shipping container, and that yellow shipping container is hauled off into a center block facility that's locked down, that has a surprising large amount of random shootings that happen inside there. And inside those walls, children are exposed to some of the most insane, intense, mind control, torture techniques you've ever seen. And at 2:30 every day, those children are placed back into a yellow shipping container and shipped back home. And when they're back home, everyone inside the home pretends like it didn't happen. The reason why Pizzagate works is because no one can handle looking at the yellow shipping containers and the child trafficking that's happening right now. You can't do it. Same with terrorism. We will paint terrorism like a bunch of people in sandals that are thousands of miles away, so they'll never hurt you. And they thwarted us by knocking down 5 buildings with box cutters. That takes away all of the pain and all of the worry and all of the threat of the yellow shipping containers, and more importantly, of the repeated and constant attacks on foreign soil that our taxes pay for every day. It takes those things away. It gives the truther something to sniff except for his own crotch. It gives him that release to stop smelling his own balls and to find a fix somewhere else. This is a very important yoga that's important for venting. This is why venting isn't really an unhealthy, unnatural thing. It's our ignorance about how we vent and when we vent, I think, that tends to make it a little bit evil, meaning unconscious in that way. This is all a dance about what will the truther find comfortable. Why? Because the truther is a targeted individual. Guys, RV is a TI. He's a targeted individual. He's someone that's been exposed to the propaganda so long and the lies so long that it's put him into this state where the color orange means you're working for them, and where you find yourself arguing that, well, no, I won't listen to the police dispatch because that was faked. And I know everything about all the shootings. You can't hold those two positions at the same time in front of other people and not get called insane. You can't. The only way you will ever investigate any kind of event that's ever happened in America, the only way, you as a truther, you as someone who's looking for the truth, you as someone who's zetetically trying to educate yourself truthfully, the only information you're ever going to be able to rely on is going to be a police report, the dispatch recordings. You can get those from county, you can get those from local too. So sometimes you'll actually have 2 different sources there. Do you know why most people don't look at school shootings? Because it's hard. It takes a lot of time. And when I started looking at them, I didn't end up with a story about school shootings. I ended up with a story about TIs. I ended up discovering what this targeted individual really means and why this is working on a mass scale. It led me to read books that a truther would have to run away from, like Mind War by Michael Aquino. You as a truther would not be allowed to read that book because that would make you satanic. And so you can't look at that. And so you're going to walk around and talk about how Crowley rituals are doing this and doing this and doing this and doing this, and you haven't actually read it. But you can't read it because it would be satanic if you did. So what do? You witch hunt it. Why? Because you do not want to look at your own black magic when you take your child and shove them into a yellow shipping container in the morning. This is what we do because our aperture has a certain comfort level that it can find. And if you can't handle the truth about aperture, you're going to call it a butthole. And you're going to go, he's talking about buttholes, ha ha ha. And you're going to release yourself from that. You're going to find excuses to step away from what's really happening. Is a TI a witch? A TI is a targeted individual, or at least this is what I mean by TI. And I explain, I'm gonna find it for you. All right, I put a link to that story. You can read it if you want. It covers the case of Esteban Santiago, age 26, Fort Lauderdale shooter. Nicholas Cruz. Scott Ostream from Denver. Wade Anthony Melton. Christina Peralez. Aaron Alexis. Myron May. Emmanuel Sampson, Robert Bowers, Raleigh Castile. I'm just saying it took several weeks to get through all those. And the reason why is because I wanted to follow each of them independently and just see how much the media lied, if they lied, what was staged, what wasn't staged, whether or not even the event was staged or not, whether or not it was real, all that stuff. And all I did was just put on my Zetetic hat and just said, what makes the most sense? What makes the most sense? What makes the most sense? This is what I was trying to convey. This is what I did convey with Rose after RV left. I was able to finally convey what I mean by this. If you're going to run an op like this, you're going to few actors as you can. Actors are not going to work. Actors are going to be your weakest point always. The shuttle, space shuttle, is a weak point. Weak point. Some people say, well, they blew up the shuttle on purpose for sympathy. They could have. They could have. I think that another likely story is that inflatable rocket or whatever it is, I don't care what it is, I don't want to get lost in that. But that another possibility, guys, ops can just go wrong. Our government fucks up all the time. The CIA, the FBI fucks up all the time. And that another scenario is that rocket just blew up. And it blew up on live camera when everybody's watching it. And that would actually throw off your op, because now you have to kill people But you don't want to kill people. Why? Because you're a fucking human. You're like, wait a minute, I was hired by the FBI to help people believe in space. Or I was hired by the CIA to help people believe in space. Now you want me to kill Sally Ride? What? I don't want to do that. And if you're walking around going, everyone's satanic that's orange, and those people are they're skull fucking underground, and they're peeling off skin and eating it and stuff, then this would make sense. You'd be like, yeah, well, if they're that way, then they're shape shifting reptilians and they're acting, and all of them are acting. And then you start to follow this salacious game where you're like, oh my God, that's quite an amazing smell. And it's like, yeah, stick your nose up deeper. I'll tell you more. I will tell you more. And you start to chase under that codpiece of righteousness. You start to find it that way. And you're not going to find it. You're not. You know what you're going to do? You're going to look for circumstantial evidence which helps you feel that way, helps you incorporate your torque of belief. Just like I did when I saw, oh, look, there was 33 people in the back of the U-Haul the other day. There was 33 of them. That's really interesting. It was interesting, though. Do you know why it was interesting to me? Because I wasn't addicted to, oh, it has to be this. And there's going to have to be, look, I've already told people that anyone who's wearing orange is this, so I need to find an orange thing. Oh, there it is. Thank God. Boy, that would have been awkward if it wouldn't have been orange. You end up so invested into it. If you do listen to that interviewer, I want you to pay note that the first thing RV did was bash ego the whole time. And people with egos, there's our real problem. They're walking around with egos. And I'm telling you, the reason why he acted like such a jackass is because he doesn't have ego. That's why. He said we have informants. My mouse, sometimes it won't give me my mouse back. He says he has informants. This was in Idaho just the other day. A neo-Nazi group, Patriot Front, was detained in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, claiming to want to attack the Pride rally. I know some of you have seen this, but this hasn't been on James Drew Live yet, so. Here's the 33 people in the back, and as I told Rose, it's just really obvious that there's no way that you wouldn't pull anyone out. If you were a cop and you thought there were 33 rioters, the first thing you do is make them unmask. You wouldn't have them keep wearing their backpacks. And that's even getting past the fact that why would you and 32 other dudes get into the back of a U-Haul truck with no windows and all be wearing the same mask and the same hat at the same time? Well, why would you wear those in the back as you're driving around? Why are you wearing that mask in the back? It's summertime. It's summertime. And I want you to know that, guess what? This doesn't mean that I know what happened. It doesn't. It doesn't mean that I know for sure, yeah, this is an FBI job. You don't know that. Are there informants? Yes. Well, guess what? Half the people that are doing time are for victimless crimes. The other half are informants. Been busted because you had a house plant, right? They caught you with a house plant. And so they said the only way you're going to get out is you need to work for us. How are you going to do that? You're going to be our Pied Piper. What do you mean? You're going to walk around and tell people how cool it'd be to go do this. And you're going to start doing that. And we're not going to show your face, which is why when we pull this truck over, we don't know how many informants are in the back. My guess is probably 75%, if not all of them. But that's my guess, and I'm never going to know that. And if one of them's wearing an orange hat, that doesn't mean automatically, well, it must be all of them. That's just retarded. And that's where you're not going to be able to last as a truther. You're going to have to become a satetic. You're going to have to. And the very first thing you're going to have to do when you become a satetic is drop things out of your mouth that aren't real. It takes a while to realize those things. You have to change your appetite. And when someone comes along and drops sugar in your mouth, it makes it that much harder. Tyler, the screenplay is called The Hidden Hand. And you can only get it on Patreon right now. I'm sorry. But that's why I told you the plot. I'm not trying to force you. Oh, if you guys want to join Patreon, it'd be freaking great. It'd be really great. That's what makes these all our different shows happen. We had our third installment of Apocalypse Crypto yesterday. It was great. Check it out on Dojo with Radio. I had a lot of insults over my use of quotes. People who can't read are always mad at the ones who can. Yeah, that insults are your field. That's your wake. RV showed me my wake. I was talking to James about this yesterday. RV showed me my wake. And people are going to show you your wake. And I want you to remember that a wake has a peak, right? It sticks up above the water line. You have a peak, but you also have a trough. You actually have a cavity that's below the water line inside your wake. Below it. And RV shows me that wake, the cavity in that wake. See, energetically, because RV was attacking the ego and saying the ego is bad, he was using all his magic to say, I will out-humiliate myself, James. We are in a self-humiliation contest. That's what the attack on the ego means, is that I am the quickening of humiliation. There can be only one. And you begin this process where you fashionistically try and declare that you have the most humility, which I hope you can see is hilarious when you really start to unpack what that is. So when you're attacking your ego like that, in order to utilize that magic, you literally have to drain yourself on the floor because you're showing everyone how much you're bleeding. You're like, I will bleed for you, by shitting on my ego in front of your presence. And when you do that, when you find someone that's saying something that's challenging, and I believe what challenged him the most is that I implied that people can get hurt at school shootings, and I mentioned Nicholas Cruz. And then I mentioned that, no, Nicholas Cruz is not an actor. He's not. He's not. We can have that theory. It's fine. Maybe I should clarify, I'm giving you the strength of my codpiece of righteousness right now by telling you he's not. And I'm telling you that because I know what would be most likely. Applying the rational Occam's razor to the event and realizing that what Waynell Sexton actor would really, really want to even try and pull that off? To become the reality star like that, someone like that for the rest of their lives? And so, because I already know you're going to say, well, that if he's an actor, then he didn't really go to prison. And the interrogation tape that you've seen, those weren't interrogation tapes. Those were all in Hollywood. And I'd say to people like RV who claim that you are painting a world where an entire Hollywood production company is spending all of its resources to entertain you. And that goes back to the orange hat. It goes back to the truther. Because you're putting forth the reality that, hey guys, all of these people, all of their will, all of their focus is on us and on fooling us. And that the most powerful, richest people in the world have nothing better to do than to come fuck with us and stage all of these things. And all of it's acting and no one gets hurt. That's naive. If you just follow, what would you do if you were this person and you were running the app? For you to run this app, you would have a budget that says your job is the CIA. Your job is this division that we started in 1996. Is you are going to be on our anti-shooting campaign. What does that mean? Well, this is the Pantsuit Brigade. Hillary Clinton hired a team of PR people to put on the Pantsuit Brigade. It was a organic grassroots conglomerate of women that assembled wearing pantsuits to do a dance, a spontaneous dance in public. I forget what you call those, but one of those things. And that just like that op is a staged reality, this is why I call it reality terrorism, so too would this group be tasked with, well, we've been tasked with helping promote the PR for the legislation of anti-gun. And so in order to do that, we're going to have a school shooting in a school. And when we go to that school, we're going to tell the kids that we're going to stage this school shooting because we want everyone to practice what it's like to have a school shooting. And now watch how easy under your codpiece of righteousness the morality can slip, because now someone's going to say, hey, Tim, so just so we're clear, it's going to be a drill because we want everyone to pretend that this is happening, because if they pretend that it's happening, it'll make everyone safe and save lives. He's like, yeah. He's like, okay, so Tim, follow me, hear me out. What if we made everyone in the drill? What do you mean everyone? Well, like everyone outside the school too. Like, saves lives, right? If we have a school drill? Yes, it saves lives. Of course it does. Okay, so instead of the drill just being for the people in the school, what if it's a shooting drill for the whole community? Now, we will still bill it as a shooting drill, and we'll have it at the school. We don't actually have to tell people that it's also for the community. Well, how would we make it for the community? We just call the news. Yeah, we have the news come in, and just like we're telling all the kids, there's a shooter in the building. There's a shooter in the building. Let's do Operation School Shooting. Let's go, kids. We'll do the same thing with the media. We'll call them and we'll say there's a shooter in the building. There's a shooter in the building. And then everyone will get to practice. The fire department can practice. The police department can practice. Wow, Tim, this is an interesting idea. Think it'll work? Of course it will. It'll definitely work. I think it will. And it'll raise awareness. My God, Tim, it's amazing. So, should we get actors to be the shooters? Like, we could try that, Tim, but I got a better idea. Yeah, what's the better idea? I have a database of schizophrenic nutcases that we're pretty sure are dangerous to society. And we've sniffed them out, and we've smelled a lot of really, really bad critters. And, I think we can fight fire with fire, and we can basically instigate while we're also calling out. It's a giant Pied Piper scheme. It's like, fuck, Tim, I like where you're thinking. Yeah, I don't do much else except for think about mass sociopathy. Well, Tim, we're glad to have you on board. Yeah, I know. You, as a truther in favor of protecting schools, you would do the same thing RV does and start to stretch the truth and say that dude's wearing an orange hat. Or to say this dude thinks everything's real. James says everything's real. And I've been accused of saying everything's real because I'm saying to you that there's a database of patsies. And that I believe what happened to Nicholas Cruz was that he was sent a text. And that text was masked. Very simple to do if you were in law enforcement. And that text was masked, and it was said to have come from a girl that he liked. And that Nicholas Cruz went down to the school. He was called into the scene. He was called there. And that's why when you listen to the dispatch tape, which RV couldn't do, the expert of shootings wasn't able to listen to the dispatch tape of Parkland. What the fuck is wrong with this world? When we're calling that truthing, when we're calling that research. And the dispatch tape tells you, it shows you the flaw. The exact same flaw I just showed you on Twitter. The exact same flaw. The flaw of this, right? Of everyone inside the back of a U-Haul van, they're already masked up, and then the cop opens the door and says, hey, you giant riot or dangerous people, none of you take off your masks or your backpacks, but also come out here. And the exact same flaws. On the dispatch tape says, the suspect, the suspect is over here, his name is Nicholas Cruz. And that's not how you hunt a suspect. That's not how you hunt a gunner. Someone who's shooting in a school, if you're giving a radio description of that shooter so you can stop the shooter, you were giving a physical description of the suspect. You're giving a physical description of the rioters by saying, take off your mask, you're under arrest, and them removing their masks. Why? Because you would need a physical description right away. Why? Because these people could get away. They're in fucking zip ties, for Christ's sake. Your back's to everybody. Their backs are to everybody. Same mistakes. And if you can't handle that, you're going to go to Orange Hat. You won't have a choice. You're going to go, no, there's a satanic island. This is too awkward, James. I can't figure out all this. And no, that now there's an actual victim here too in this way. And it's what's even more profound is we're pretending that mistakes wouldn't happen. One thing I noticed when I released these, when I did these research, one thing that really stuck out at me right away was Christine Perles. What stuck out at me the most is because Wade Anthony Melton, the shooter, triggered Christine Perles to do the same thing. And RV would then have to say, well, this is all staged because it's in the newspaper, it's fake. Which is weird because the word Sandy Hook was in the newspaper. And I know that we're calling that fake too, but if we're calling that, if literally everything that's ever written in the paper is fake, then why are we even utilizing these things? Wouldn't the entire psyop itself not really be relevant at all or not even be real? But no, we're pulling evidence out of the newspapers to prove that something's fake. And it's insane to me that anyone who understands your neighbor, who just looks around, anyone that understands that a fourth of the people in the Innocence Project ended up pleading guilty to something they never did, that here you have these cases of these sympathetic resonators, that once you have a drill in one place, someone else repeats the drill, and that's not an oddity. That happens a lot. That happens a lot. And that would actually be a victim. There would actually be someone hurt. And the only reason why we're saying that no one gets hurt, the only reason why RV insists no one gets hurt, the entire thing is staged, is because it feels better. It feels better. And that's not what a zetetic does. A zetetic cannot feel comfortable in that because the codpiece of righteousness never feels good. It doesn't. Now, admit, James, true, it's an orange hat. Don't play with my comfort. We can call it an orange hat. I've never gotten a worse reception to a chaka hat in my life. Not once anyone's ever said, that's a fucking cool hat. No, it's been more like, you Illuminati. Look at Pi. Look at how orange he is. Jeez, Pi. Change your name to 33. Man. See, we're all doing it. Let's do it. Orange hat good. Anyway, I don't want to. Yes, the Iliads are Agamemnon, much like what James noticed about the photo op around Assange's arrest. Exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing, guys. I'm telling you that if it was, no one would be. I'm telling you that the government makes mistakes. Wait. When they do these things, they make mistakes. Do you know why they make mistakes? Because it's government. Because it's government. They're trying to say that we stormed a foreign embassy. We broke into the door. We broke the doors down. We physically grabbed Assange and handcuffed him. 4 men, maybe 5, maybe 6, hauled him out of a building. And he was holding a book the whole time. Holding a book the whole time. That takes a truther. That's where the truther and the zetetis is split. You know why? Because Assange feels good. Assange feels good. And that's why people get really, really, really kind of upset at me. Don't do it, James. Don't show them. But it's true. People get really upset at me when I show them this quote from Julian Assange. The quote says, "I'm constantly annoyed that the people are distracted by false conspiracies such as 9/11. Julian Assange. But James, he's holding a Gore Vidal book. Why are you doing this, James? Why are you ruining our trutherisms? Because I'm a zetetic. Sorry. Because I'm a zetetic and I want to know how this world works. And for me to know how this world works, there's no such thing as a Satanist. There's not. Or, if you really want to know what a Satanist is, look into it. Because you're going to find it's a fetish for hating the body. The cooties, the game of cooties, when you're in 6th grade, has never gone away. The game of cooties is now racism, or you're a Luciferian, or you're satanic, or you're a Zionist. Yes, even that. That's what cooties is now for long children. That's all. That's all. When and where did Assange say that? You can go to this link, Rabbit Holes Incorporated, and the name, if you click on the word Julian Assange, it'll take you right to it. Take you right to it. Assange was banging Pamela Anderson in solitary confinement. Totally. Of course it was real, Tornado Souls. Of course. Of course it was real. Yeah. Yeah. Because the most sophisticated military in the world couldn't penetrate the brick facade building of a 2-story brown house, but Pamela Anderson could. And doesn't that just fit the meaning of it more? Why do you think there was a photo shoot with the cat? I'm not implying that Julian Assange doesn't like cats. The dude could love cats. In fact, it would probably be better if he did love cats. Right? I'm implying there's less actors than you think. I'm implying it's easier than you think to find people that are Zionistically willing to do crazy ass shit. Like, say, that dude with the orange hat is a bad guy. Or anyone that wants to have a fire in the woods is a Luciferian. It's stupid retard shit like that separates the truther from the zetetic. Separates that. The truther burns books. The zetetic writes them. What does RV do but say, you suck because you write books? Have you noticed how many times a truther decides that anyone who writes books is a problem? You're supposed to make memes. You're supposed to make videos. You're not supposed to make books. And if you're going to make a book, it better be by Neon Revolt. And it better be showing you the Q revolution, right? I would argue that most of you who are zetetic, I'm not trying to say everyone even agrees with what I'm saying, but I would argue that most of you who are zetetic never actually wanted to be and kind of found it sad. You were like, fuck. Oh, what's wrong, Clint? I'm a zetetic. Oh, dude, how long is... I don't know. I woke up this morning and realized it. I'm a zetetic. I think that's what it feels like. When you're a truther, you wake up and you're like, I'm a truther. My God, I can smell the Satanism in the air. And you go out hunting. You wake up excited about being a truther. Do you know why? Because your fear is starting to alchemize into something productive. That's why I'm saying truther is not bad. But if you're good enough at being a truther, you wake up and you're like, fuck. It's like, what's wrong? Oh. Look, the bronze dome on Epstein Island fell off because of wind. Yeah? Oh, there's all these posts about how the elevator, the mechanics for it were in the dome, which is why the building was so small, and everyone really needed, Amazing Polly really needed that elevator because it has the 6 floors down there. And now they're saying they filled it with concrete, so there's no... this is going to be rough. It's going to be a rough day. That's what it feels like when you wake up and you're a zetetic. It feels like that. I swear. All right. I probably should let you guys go. Could be, Mo. It could be. Let's see if Rockby's got anything for me. Chaka need input. That's right. Chaka does love witness. Chaka fooled RV too. RV came after Chaka. Because RV ran out of ego, because he bled himself out, he couldn't actually stay in the room with me and Rose. That's what I mean by the wake. It was a void. He was the void in the wake. He was showing you that. Showing you that. And I guarantee you he'll never do a show with me or about this. And I guarantee you he'll never ever consider maybe I should have, or maybe I should check out some of these dispatch reports. Because there's really valuable information in there. Really valuable. Rabbit Holes Incorporated. James Drew, maybe Assange meant the sheep are distracted about 9/11. Could be so. Rabbit Holes, have you considered that WikiLeaks doesn't have any intel on its entire site except for information that says Saudi Arabia was behind it? Like, there's not one thing about the Port Authority. You know what? Enjoy your Zetetic March too. I'm not even right. I'm not. Just doesn't feel comfortable to smell Assange like that. That's probably the best way to me to say it. And I've made a lot of enemies in the truth community because I've said that. A lot of them. And I think it's profound that the mainstream media that we're supposed to completely not trust is the ones that are constantly telling us how awful and tortured he is, and how it's Kitten and Pamela Anderson and all these things are propping him up. They're putting him on the cross. They're putting him there. And why are they putting him there? Because they were feeding him information as WikiLeaks the whole time. Why? Because they looked in their database and they found a Nicholas Cruz. His name was Julian Assange. They found him. And they did a screen test, just like they did with David Hogg. Put him in front of the screen. See how he does. If it works, we'll move him to Parkland. What did they do to Assange? They moved him in the embassy. First thing they did, destroy his reputation. This guy's a child molester. This guy's this guy's that. He's stuck now. And he's starting to think he's crazy. The whole world around him's going nuts. The very people that were feeding information, he's realizing slowly, fuck, I don't even know what was real. Penguin pineal glands, I remember that. Nothing about 9/11. Nothing at all. Nada. Except for as Saudi Arabia did it. It's a very important pawn that's put into play, in my opinion. In my opinion. And I'm not going to call you a name if you disagree. And if you have different intel, I'm going to listen to it. I'll listen to it as long as it's comfortable. And if not, I'll do what RV does and I'll leave the room. I'll just say I can't listen to this anymore. So, anyway, hope that helps. And I don't want it to bring you down. I want you just to find that electricity, and you'll use that electricity for other things. Because, like ego, you could see what was happening to RV in the very beginning. And, yeah, thanks, Rabbit Holes. And if you find out something different, man, let me know. Put it in the comments or reach out to me via emails. Because it's a tough one. That's a tough... Assange is a tough one. Just saying, it puts you in that... Fuck. People call it stoic, but there's like a deep American philosophy that comes from that. It's really not stoicism as much as it's resilience. It's a resilience for Zedetics. I've pondered if James Drew has any deep fake bots in this community. Wouldn't make any claims, though. Yep, we should always wonder, is that person a robot? We should, I guess. Online, for sure. Guy, no one's going to be able to give you trust. No one. No one. If someone's telling you the truth, you need to realize that's a crutch you're using. You're associating with them. You're associating with their discernment. You see how that works? Good, I'm glad. 3B Big Buddy Bob, best thing today I learned was Zeticism. Right on. Yep. A zetetic is going to simply say, it's not even, remember, a zetetic is not necessarily someone that automatically says everything is not true. It's fine to have that in the definition because it hypothetically is correct. Like if you watch where the liquid goes inside the zetetic algorithm, you're like, yeah, that kind of is how it works. But really what a zetetic is saying is in my opinion, what a zetetic is saying is because it's belief technology, before I attach my belief to this idea, I have to find a zetetic experience that I can more off of. And some of these zetetic experiences are actually intangible. It's true. That when you start to push together, see, you will lose the nuance of Assange holding that book unless I show you the other three cases next to it, right? The 33 dudes, everyone in the gray masks, there was the other one, sorry, I forgot it. But when you see them in series, you can start to kind of piece together and go, oh, I see, that kind of thing. And so to me, a zetetic is one who is finite with their belief. See, truthers like, and I believe the UFOs, and I believe Blue Space Chicken, and I believe Assange, and I believe this, and I believe Pizzagate, I believe Comet Ping Pong, I believe Q, I believe everything. Why? Because they think they have infinite belief. They truly don't understand that their belief is a plasma. It's a limited resource. You only have 7 trillion red blood cells that you can assign will into. They come into your heart. You fill them with oxygen. Your thoughts charge what your intent is. You create the process, vectored will, inside your heart. It gets put into the red blood cells. And they go to the end of your fingers and you write down what you want, or you build what you want, or you cut what you want, or you kill what you want, or you make love to what you want. The will is transmitted through the end of your appendages. It's transmitted through your body because it's now imbued in your red blood cells. If you understand that you only have a certain finite amount of belief, you now start to rein it back and go, whoa. I can't believe that. I can't believe that. I can't believe that. I can't believe that. I think this is interesting as fuck. Show me more. But sorry, I can't commit to believing that. Why not? Because I only have so much belief. And when you start to do that, you really start to have a value and a presence inside your belief. And you start to get back to this animism where you can recognize this sheep archetype, this wolf archetype, this bear archetype, all these different archetypes. And you will glisten. You will glisten. You already do. Beautiful, porous creatures. So here's a real kick in the face, Doug209. If I believe blue space chickens enough, do they become real? Guess what? The blue kachina, the Hopi, could be the blue space chicken. Could be. And a zetetic? See, a zetetic is not going to say, I don't believe in UFOs. A zetetic is going to maybe do what I've done, which is, hey, wonders in the sky. Why don't we read some of these accounts? It's interesting how the shape and function and technology of the UFO seems to change with the time. That in ancient China, the UFO was the dragon. In 18th century America, the UFO was a steam, a metallic steam powered thing. That as we become more advanced in technology, we render things differently around us. Blue space chicken. Blue space chicken. So yeah, who knows, right? The key is to keep open your mind, but just not give away your belief. Don't be a belief whore. Is it that hard? Stop spreading your legs like some belief whore, you know? What is this, Tijuana? Truthers Tijuana, right? They got donkey shows. That's what most of these stories are. What do you think RV is? He's pushing donkey shows on people. Why? Because he has infinite belief. It doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. All right, guys. Have a good one. Appreciate you. Appreciate you very much. And I've been trying to get used to this. All right, we'll do this one more thing. I got to do this. I missed this, so. the airing of grievance, my friends. It's time to air those grievances. You got any grievances? Type them in. I'll read them out. Tell me what you grieve. Tell me about your grievance, my friends. Tell me. Tell me. And don't say, I'm grieving the loss of the thumbnail because I can't fix it right now or the song's got to stop. Give me your grievance, friends. Alright, guys. Check out our Telegram chat. And Ding Dong Key Bellevue just wanted to be a real boy in a donkey belief for in Tijuana. Yeah, I've been to Tijuana. There's a lot of belief foreign going on there. Appreciate you too, Amel. Good to see you. I'm almost out of houseplant. This is a grievance beyond reckoning. I can send you a little bit of this. We can exchange. Sark, if you send me a Lord Balfour agreement, we will find a new home for these wandering Jews. And thank you, Gnome. I got some stuff for you, my friend. Been thinking a lot about what we've been talking about. Those who suspend judgment and take no part in the controversy regarding the possibilities of certain knowledge. Yes, I like it. That's those who suspend judgment, practice epoche. I don't know that word. That's cool. And take no part in the controversy regarding the possibilities. That's exactly what I mean. That's very well said. That's why I don't look at Zetetics as you automatically reject something. Because, see, to reject is to believe in the wake of it. Right? Just like RV. I'm saying that there's a separation from that. Which is that you could just find something interesting and bullshit. Like it's just, that's queer. What the word queer used to mean. Right? It's just interesting. It's just different. It's still pulling your attention, but you haven't actually associated any belief with it. Yes, your attention's important, of course. Yes, your witness is just as important. We should monitor what we do on those things too, right? Absolutely. So, thank you guys. Oh, we have a dojo tonight, 7 o'clock. Love it if you join us if you want. If you have never been to dojo and want a free invite, if you were to probably put your email in the chat, it could be that someone in dojo would choose to invite you, maybe. Just an idea, but yeah, we will see you guys later. I'm going to play us out. And you guys are amazing. Thank you. Seriously. Who is the guy in the thumbnail? Oh, thank you, Me on TV. Hey, Me on TV. It's good to see you. Who is the guy on the... Yeah, that's one of the dudes from the Idaho. Idaho thing. Now, I don't know if he was... because he's not wearing a mask, my guess is that he was actually just there filming it. Or I don't know his identity. I just want you to know that's where the picture came from. The Bigfoot Land Black Sun thumbnail, that's from the Idaho thing. So, yeah. I meant to cover that too. Not my Nazis, says Sark. Have a good one, guys. Yes, Coeur d'Alene. Orange hat. Don't wear an orange hat or RV will send you to satanic hell. Bye, guys. Chaka no like 33. Chaka afraid. Chaka find comfort in learning to raise self from truther to zetetic. Chaka say have